Yeah, there we go. That's yes. Okay, hi! So I'm gonna cosplay now. Well, I'm gonna try. Most of you will probably have to watch this in the future. So hello to you in the future, because I don't think anybody's here yet. But that's okay. Okay, so Amy! Yay! Hello! Now there's one of you. Yeah, so let me know if my music over here is loud compared to me. I'm not sure if it is. It feels kind of loud to myself. I don't feel like using headphones, and I didn't want it to be completely quiet because quiet is awkward. But I'm going to try to make like a plain old t-shirt um, for L. And I know, well, I at least posted on Twitter a few hours ago as an attempt at a heads up, but I really didn't know when I was gonna do it. So yeah, I didn't want to like promote it and be like, yeah, I'm gonna stream it this day at this time. Be there. And then I ended up being too tired or had to do something and couldn't be home on time or something. I mainly just wanted to stream spur of the moment when I felt like doing it. So yeah. But you're here. Yeah. So I pretty much thank you. I don't want to like steal everyone from Faraz though either. I know Faraz, Mooney, and Lance are all streaming right now, or at least they were a minute ago when I checked. So yeah. Um. Yeah. So I'm trying to make a long sleeve shirt. Um. I kind of made one possible mistake already. That's not like a mistake. I didn't mess anything up. But when I went to the craft store to get a shirt to use for fabric, um, I was thinking that I'd only need one, and I just got like an extra large, so I'd have extra to use as fabric, so I can just take that shirt apart and use it to make what I want to make. But then I was like, you know what? I probably should have gotten two shirts because it's a short sleeve shirt and I need to make it into a long sleeve shirt and I don't know if I'll have enough fabric to get two full like sleeves out of it. So I probably have to go back to the craft store and get another t-shirt. What song are you? I feel like this isn't playing from the playlist that I told it to play from, but oh well. Um, Yeah, so I'm gonna make as much of the shirt as I can. I'm gonna have to take my original shirt, it's just like a random shirt that I already had, that kind of fits me the way that I want it to. Um, it's okay if you stream hop. I'm just gonna keep on going and talk to myself so that people in the future can watch it and know what's going on. So yeah, I understand if you're stream hopping because everybody's streaming right now. So yeah, it's okay. Thank you for like dropping in to begin with. But yeah, so blur. So I'm starting off with this shirt. I'm basically gonna use it to trace out a pattern so that I can make a pattern for the other shirt that I just bought so I can take that one apart and use it as fabric and then have a plain white shirt because this one already has like stuff on it. And yeah. And since I need it to be like a long sleeve shirt and everything anyway, like I couldn't really find, for some reason finding really basic normal things is difficult. Like when I tried to do another cosplay where she wore a black tie, I was like, oh, I'll just go buy a black tie. That'll be easy, right? It's just plain black tie. And somehow that plain black tie was one of the hardest things to actually find in a store because nothing was plain and black. And then the one that I ended up with was like really long, and I had to like tuck it into my like waist of my skirt. So yeah. So for some reason, finding really basic things is difficult. So uh, I just figured it'll be easier for me to just try and make a long sleeve shirt to fit me the way I want it to, rather than trying to attempt to find one. Because mostly I keep coming across short sleeve shirts, and then a lot of times white shirts, the fabric will be really see through. So yeah, that's a pain in the butt. And even the fabric that I got is still a little bit see through because it's white, but it's at least better. So yeah. So hopefully people can see this, what is going on. And I'm gonna derp around because I'm a beginner to begin with, and it's been almost a year since I actually like was using my sewing machine. Like around this time last year was when I had gotten my sewing machine. Like around January, February-ish is when I got my sewing machine and figured out how to use it, and then made my labyrinth cosplay. So I made that to be finished for last June or July? I forget one of those two. I think July. So I haven't actually used my sewing machine since then, so I probably forgot everything. Like, not everything, but I'm probably going to make mistakes now from not doing it for a while. And that was like my first time really using it anyways, so I haven't had much practice to begin with. Yeah, are they rare to come by? Because it definitely was hard for me to find one. I was like, really? It's like I can't find a plain black tie, like, of all the things that I thought would be hard to do. Like I kind of was more nervous about making this L cosplay than making Sailor Pluto. Because I was like, these are normal things in real life. And if they don't look right, they're gonna look extra awkward because you're used to seeing them in real life in the way that they should look. And yeah. So anywho, um, got really? I would think people wore black ties to more things. I don't know. I didn't think they'd be that strange. Um, so I was trying to decide if I want to just go right onto the this is just yeah, I swear it isn't playing the right playlist, even though it says that it's on this playlist. But it's playing songs that shouldn't be in there. Oh well. Um, doop doop doop. So I was trying to decide if I want to just go right onto this fabric. This is muslin fabric. It's like basically like the generic cheap fabric that you can use as your like mock-up fabric. So you don't mess up the actual fabric before you figure out your pattern and everything. So I was trying to decide if I just want to put it right on here or if I want to attempt to like trace it out on this poster board first. Um, yeah, I kind of feel like just putting it onto the fabric. See how it goes. And I think what I should technically do is fold the shirt in half, and then this is actually folded right here, so technically I should fold this in half and then like put it against the fold and then just trace this part, and then it'll open up and be more symmetrical on both sides, so I don't have to worry about accidentally like making one side different than the other. But I feel like I'm gonna end up wasting more of this fabric that way because Um, I would have to do like a front side and then a back side and then like sleeves, and then meanwhile I'm gonna have all the fabric on this side that's not gonna be on a fold anymore. It'll just be two loose pieces of fabric, and I won't be able to put anything else. Like, it'll limit what I can put over here. I feel like if I open it up, I might have enough room for like both halves to be right next to each other, so that I just use this chunk of fabric without having to go farther down the fabric. So I'm going to find out. Do, do, do. So random hair stuck to this because it's been sitting in a lump for a while because I was going to use it for a different costume, and then I decided to do these other costumes first. So, let's see. Okay, so find the seam line. Well, I guess this shirt was actually sewn as one big piece because there's no seam right here. So I guess the front and the back of this particular shirt were maybe sewn as one big piece. Where the heck is the seams on this shirt? Mm. Alright, well this shirt is confusing already. But as long as I have it folded in half, it should be fine. But there should be, like, a side seam on this shirt where the sides were sewn together, but there's not. And there's not on the other side either. So, okay, so this would end about here. Okay, I have enough. Oh. Blah. I need my tomato. I got a bunch of new pins because I didn't have enough. Do 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 do. Okay. So, actually, I'm going to have to add seam allowance to this, so I cannot start at the very edge. So pretty much now I'm just going to pin around the outside edge of this shirt. And then I'm gonna skip the sleeves and then follow the curve that's right here. So basically I'll end up with a sleeveless front and back. Hello! I see you talking again. Yeah, it's actually, though, I feel like, there are parts of it that seem complicated, but thanks to the power of YouTube and people making YouTube tutorials, once you actually see what it is, it's not as bad as it looks, but there's a lot of different types of, like, things that you would, like, have to get used to looking at and knowing what it actually is. So, like, right now I'm confused about the fact that this shirt didn't have like side seams on it, so I'm like, how the frick did this shirt go together if it wasn't sewn down the side? I don't know, some kind of voodoo magic. That I don't know. There's probably a simple reason why, and I'm just not figuring it out. But like I'm not exactly positive how on this shirt how everything was finished and stuff, but like things like this, like other things I've been able to figure out, like this shirt has kind of like this strip right here that like hides the seam and keeps it really flat, so you don't have a bulky like seam allowance left over, and it's not like hanging off like normally it would be, which I'd show you on a side seam right now, but there were none. But here's a little tiny one on the shirt seam. So like there's a stitching line right here lower than where the edge of this is, and so you end up with this little flap right here from the inside of the seam. If you look like on the inside of your clothes, you'll see this all over the place from where the two parts are sewn together. And so up here they've got this like strip up here that's like enclosing the seam allowance as far as I can tell, but like this, I'm not exactly sure how this is sewn on. Probably if I like try to take it apart I could figure it out, I guess. But yeah, there's like little things like that that I've had like explained in YouTube videos, like one of the other things you can do for seams is top stitching, where Trying to make sure I'm still in here. Blair! Also, look at him Twitch. Hi, guys! You've been sewing for 10 years. What? You should teach me stuff. I'm still trying to figure it out. So like, this wouldn't be a good example specifically, but like, if you have your seam like this, like how it hangs over, you can go to the front side of the fabric, and if it's like, if the outside of your fabric seam isn't laying flat, you can actually stitch really close to where the seam line was from the front side, and it'll like tack down the seam allowance on the inside so that it's stuck down against the fabric so it's not just flopping around. It's like things like that are like once it's explained and like once I see it, I'm like, oh, okay, like that makes sense. And then it's not as like, I don't know what's happening. So yeah, that was probably a bad example. But yeah. So I'm still figuring things out. But yeah. So there are some things that are kind of complicated. The thing to me that's the most complicated is trying to figure out making patterns. Like that's why I'm trying to use this shirt that already fits me kind of the way this costume needs to fit me, because altering patterns is the part that scares me the most. Because like especially if I had to start this from scratch, like you're supposed to do like math, and me and math are not friends. It's basically like a bunch of geometry. Like you measure yourself. Like if I was gonna make this shirt from scratch, like I'd have to measure like my shoulders and then like from the top to the bottom and blah blah blah, and then you draw like specific lines to other lines, and then you take this line and draw like a curve to that one, and like I'm like, I don't like it, don't like it. Does not math, does not geometry. Ooh. Okay, well I'm glad I'm not the only one that doesn't want to pattern things. If you guys do a sewing stream, I definitely want to watch. Well, I don't know if I'll be able to watch it live though, because now I work during the times when you guys normally would be streaming, which is why you haven't seen me in your stream in a while. Yeah, all of those measurements. I just got my sewing machine last year, around January or February-ish, and then sewed together. Actually, a shirt that I made before is over here. So this is my only sewing project so far. It definitely turned out really well, I think. At least compared to the fact that I had no idea what I was doing, and I had to do a lot of different things for it. So like, I started out with a base pattern. It also has Velcro all over it, so if it looks weird, it's because stuff goes on the front. This is from my Labyrinth costume. But yeah, so like I had to take the sleeves. The sleeves from the original pattern I used was like a jacket pattern, kind of. So they were kind of like a normal sleeve, so I had to kind of make them a puff sleeve. So they don't really look that puffy right now because they're not like on my body. But it's kind of like more gathered towards the top than a normal sleeve would be, and then it's like baggier, so it kind of crinkles up, I guess you could say, when I'm actually wearing it, and because there's elastic in the wrist, so when it's actually on, it'll like bunch up. So I had to like take the sleeve pattern, and I could only find like one tutorial on how to make a puff sleeve, so I had to take the original sleeve and then like I had to take the pattern and like draw like equal like parts of it, and then put an equal amount of space, like cut all those parts so that the pattern turned into a bunch of equal strips. and then I had to put space in between all the strips, like the same amount of space, and then draw like a new outline around what I had. And so I started at the widest I could go for the fabric that I had, and then tried it on, and then just gradually like cut it down to where I wanted it to be. So that took me forever just to get these sleeves, and because it's supposed to be like wider at the top and then thinner at the bottom, so it took a while for me to just kind of just eyeball it and just sew it together and then try it on and then take it back apart and then sew it together and then try it on again. But yeah. And then like I had to figure out how to basically it's like sewing on a bias tape, which looking on Twitch, I guess you guys would know what that means, but I don't know if anybody else knows what it means. Also, Mr. Sam Kim, hello! How are you doing? I saw that um that you were like going to the hospital or something. Like, are you okay? Um, I didn't realize you were like taking this week off and everything. Like, I went on Twitter and then I saw that you said you were going to the hospital, so then I kind of like scrolled back and I saw that you were like taking off for the week. So, I hope you're okay. But yeah, so I had to figure out how to sew this on, and this is actually leather. As far as I know, it's actual leather. It was just like a leather scraps from the craft store, like it's just a bag of scraps, and it just said that it was leather, so I'm assuming that it's actual leather. It kind of like smells like leather and everything. It seems like it's actual leather. Yeah. Um, uh, yeah, so I had to figure out how to do this. So I learned how to do this from making this one. Um, so that's another skill that I learned from here. And I was really nervous about this part. I was like, I am gonna screw this up so bad, but it actually worked out. The only part that got funky was the seams because they're so bulky, because it was too thick, especially on this side. Um, I ended up having to like hand sew like this little bit right here because it was too thick to actually sew through the machine. And it was a bitch because it was really painful for my fingers. um, and yeah, but it came out really neatly because let's see, what did I even have to do? Like it's been so long now that I already like forgot what I did. Um, but okay, yeah, that's what I did. You had to take like let's say that this was the top of the leather and this is the underneath of the leather. So I had to sew it on like this first against this edge of the fabric, right? Is that what I did? I don't know. I sewed it this way first, and then you roll it underneath, and then that's what this part is. And if it wasn't a pain to work with the leather, then I would have had this edge rolled under as well, so it's not like a raw edge right here. But that was not going to cooperate with my machine. So then, once you have this folded under to this side, you flip it over to the front, and then like this is technically like the same kind of thing as a top stitching, I guess you could say. Um, there's a row of stitches like right there, like right in here. So basically, I had to stitch along here from the front side, and then that's what holds down the back side. So I learned how to do that. And then I also had to do understitching, which is similar to top stitching. In between here, um, it's kind of like opposite top stitching, I guess. I don't know how to explain it right now. Because I'd have to think about it again to remember exactly how I did it. But I had to sew, basically I had to, yeah, here we go. So like I have my lining fabric and then my main fabric. So I had to put, like, you open it up this way before I had it all sewn as one piece. And then stitch right here. And then that held down the seam allowance from this on the opposite side, on the inside. So that makes the neckline lay like flat. So it's like like clean edge so that it's not like bulky from the seam underneath of it. So yeah. So those are the things that I learned from last time. Let's see, what are you guys saying? Yeah, I've seen Gathering with Elastic too. I ended up just doing um doing a double line of threads and then pulling the one thread so that it scrunches up. Schmickle, hello and welcome. No, I did not make the sweater that I'm wearing. I bought this sweater on clearance from Delia's. So no, I did not make this one. Sam, I hope everything is good. I hope the results are okay and you're okay. Yeah. Because that would be poopy if anything is wrong. Rich, hi! Oh yeah, I guess that would be a good tip to put the pins like this way so they're not this way, so then yeah. I think I mostly was putting them the opposite way last year. I don't remember exactly, but I think I was. I don't know, maybe I wasn't. Right now I'm doing this way. Yeah, I know when I pin things together for like patterns, I end up pinning patterns like with the pins going this way rather than this way. But I think when I actually start sewing things together, I think I may have been putting pins this way because I normally do end up taking the pins out as I go. But yeah, I normally just take them out as I go. They're in the way. So Rich and Schmickle and also Raka, who says WTF. I don't know what the WTF is specifically for, but hello! And I am trying to make a shirt, which should be simple, but we'll find out if I screw it up. So I'm taking a shirt that I already own. I need to get, my final result needs to be a plain white t-shirt with long sleeves. So I have another shirt that I'm going to use for the fabric that I'm just going to, I'm making a pattern right now, and then I'm going to take the pattern, put it on top of the other shirt, and then cut that shirt into the new pattern and sew it back together, basically. So right now I'm trying to get a shirt pattern off of this shirt that kind of fits the way that I want it to for the costume. And yeah. So right now I'm just gonna trace it out onto muslin fabric, which is just like a cheap fabric that you can use for like mock-ups before you actually use the real fabric, so you don't mess up the real fabric. Granted, it was just like a $3 shirt from the craft store that I got, so even if I messed up the actual shirt fabric, it's not a big deal at this point. But yeah, I'd rather just use the muslin first and then mess around with it, because that's what I did last year when I made that one. I chopped it up and I even taped pieces of it back together because I was trying to get the bottom shirt edge needed to be curved, and it took me so long to get a good curve on it the way I wanted it to be. I was chopping it off and then taping it back together and then chopping it off again. It worked in the end, but yeah. So I'd rather just use the muslin now and then be able to destroy it and then put it back together. Yeah. So gonna go back to pinning things. Mm-hmm. Yay, I'm glad you're liking the stream. Go have some good lunch. Hopefully someday soon I'll be able to get like another camera so that I can actually put like a camera angle that just goes down at what I'm doing, so that will make things easier to see, because this isn't the best right now. But yeah, okay. So yeah, for anybody who came in after I said it, I am pinning around the outside of this shirt. This is the shirt that I already own that basically fits the way I want it to. I have to change the neckline though, because I need to make it wider than it is. But basically the rest of the shirt fits, and I'm gonna have to turn the short sleeves that are on it into long sleeves. So yeah, but the main body of the shirt fits the way I want it to, so pinning around the outside edge, and then I'm gonna trace around it, or just cut it without tracing it. So then I'll have a shirt pattern. Meh. Meh. Ugh. This shirt is weird because of this seam thing. Like, I should be able to fold it right in the middle of where this is, but I can't. So I'm trying to decide what will make it worse, if I flip this to like this side or if I flip it on this side. It's probably not a huge deal because this doesn't need to be super form fitted or anything, and I should be able to adjust it from the seam allowance, I would think, because I can add or take out seam allowance and add it back into the shirt or take it out of the shirt. So yeah. Granted, I probably started this too close to this edge right here, so I don't have a whole lot of extra, but it'll make it work. Okay, I'm gonna just drop that pin like in my sleeve. Hmm. You can do it, pins. Ugh. Woohoo! Wow. I need chalk. Chalk. I saw you in here the other day. Hey. Chalk. Okay. Oh my god, this song, when it comes on the radio, they cut this part of the song out of it. And this is like my favorite part of the song. The radio starts like right here. The radio just starts right there. It cuts out that whole intro. And the first time I heard that song, I heard the intro because it was on like the alternative rock station. So the alternative rock station actually played the whole thing. And then it started coming on like the top 40 station and they would just cut out the intro. And the first time I heard that intro, I was like, I really like this song. Oh my god, what is this song gonna be? So like the intro was the part that got me. And then top 40s just let me down. Do, 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 do. This is probably not the most accurate ever, but trying to mark the seam for the sleeve. It might probably would work better if I did this the opposite of what I'm doing. If I like flipped the rest of the shirt this way and then traced around this way rather than trying to go from underneath and do it. Mooney! Hey, how's it going? I'm trying to make a shirt. I a little bit know what I'm doing. But yeah, I'm kind of just going. I'm taking a shirt that I already own and trying to trace it to make a pattern so that I can use the pattern on the fabric that I want to use. Because basically this shirt fits me the way that I want it to. So yeah, it's just that this shirt isn't a plain shirt, so I need to make it into a plain shirt. So that's what we're doing. How are you? Uh, why were you and Faraz chugging hot sauce, and are you okay? Mm, trying to decide what I feel like doing. If I want to trace around the whole thing and then unpin parts, or if I just... I'm gonna call these sleeves good enough. Because I don't feel like unpinning what I did. But at the same time, I'd rather have them be the way they're supposed to be. Are my streams actually interesting? I can understand the chill part. And thank you. Are they actually interesting though? I feel like they could potentially not be the most interesting. It came out hot. God, because you guys just started chugging it, and then you were like, like a freaking like dragon or like a snake or something, and then you just disappeared, and I was like, is he okay? Is anybody talking to him now? Uh, Mooney, did, did you spontaneously combust? Yeah, hopefully soon I'll be able to get a camera that I can use to actually put on here so that it's easier to go back and forth. And then I can actually have my laptop like this so I can see what is happening. But yeah, okay. Okay, so I'm gonna partly undo what I did so I can make sure that I'm doing these sleeves right before I half-ass it and then get mad at myself later. Well, I'm glad you didn't actually die. I figured you probably had to go to work, but like you didn't say anything. You just were like gagging and then you disappeared. So it's like, okay, that's an interesting exit. Mm, man, I'm trying to be a cheater. Ugh, these pins are like weird. Apparently, you should not get really cheap pins because they're kind of dull, actually. I think is the problem. Yay! Well, I'm glad that you learned things from my streams. I feel like I ramble a lot and stuff, so I don't know if I'm really making sense. Is that enough for me to flip this over now? I gotta get these out of the way. Okay, let's see if this works any better. Me. So instead of trying to flip it the sleeve this way and trace the seam, I'm trying to flip the rest of the shirt over it instead, because the curve is going this way, and so I'm thinking probably the way that I should have done it was doing it this way. So that I can get to the curve more accurately, maybe? Well, it looks like it's about the same as it would have been from the opposite way. Mm. Move this pin out of the way. Mm. Ugh. This is probably going to be like sloppiest pattern ever. It's like hair all over this thing. So I keep plucking hairs off of it. Mm, mm, mm. Okay. I'm just gonna keep the other sleeve the way it was when I traced it the first time, because I think it pretty much came out the same when I tried doing it the other way. Oh yeah. Okay. I think I am actually going to just use a pencil, since this is not going to be the real fabric, so it doesn't matter. Because I feel like I can get the lines thinner with this pencil than with the chalk, because it's kind of sloppy with the chalk. My voice just did something weird. My voice was like. I guess really I should be measuring from before where this neckline is. I think. neckline isn't super important right now because I'm going to be changing it. Hey! Smooth Rock, thank you for following. Welcome to the streams and me attempting to make a t-shirt, which should be really simple, but I don't really know exactly what I'm doing. So yeah, hopefully by the end of the stream, I'll at least have something to put together. But yeah, welcome. Thanks for dropping in. Okay. Ugh, dull pins are dull. Ugh. I'm trying to stick the pins into my little tomato guy. Okay, so technically I'm supposed to cut out a front and a back separately, because technically the front and the back are a little bit different because the front neckline is lower than the back neckline, but I'm changing the neckline anyway, so I think I'm just going to fold this now and cut out two at a time. Work with my fabric. Okay, so this is a time where it would help if I actually had like the rotary cutter kind of ones where you just kind of roll it like a pizza cutter and just roll around the outside, because then I won't have to actually move the fabric to cut it. But I don't have one. I guess I should pin it together before cutting. And normally you're supposed to pin outside of this line because this is where the seam allowance would be. So if you pin on this side, you can potentially get like holes in your fabric, but right now this is just going to be the mock-up piece, so I'm not worried about it right now. I just want the pins farther away so it's easier for me to cut. I'm actually not going to cut exactly on the lines that I drew. I'm going to cut farther out to actually give me the seam allowance because this hasn't included seam allowance yet. And the seam allowance, basically, when you sew fabric together, the clothes that I'm wearing do not have good examples, but let me see. If I sewed these two pieces together, because it's folded right now, so if I sewed these together, and let's say I sewed like along here and went like this. Once this is sewed together, this will basically be pinched together like this by stitches, and then you'll end up with this on the inside, like this little flap of fabric on the inside, and that's the seam. So you need to add extra fabric to all of your patterns so that when you sew it together it doesn't end up being smaller than it's supposed to be. So when I cut this out, I'm going to cut it out wider than where the actual lines are at. Plus these pins are apparently very dull, but they were really cheap from Walmart, so that's probably why, I guess. Ah. Okay. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to cut 5 ace seam allowance. I don't need to be super precise this time because I drew the actual outline of where I need to stitch, so I can just like stitch it right where the line is without actually having to measure from my seam allowance. But I'm still going to try and do a rough marking for where I want to cut. Bottom would need more because the bottom would actually be a hem, so I'm gonna have to actually roll up the fabric at the bottom to make a finished edge at the bottom. So I don't know how much I really need exactly, but gonna make it up. You shouldn't need single outs on the top neckline, I think. So try and get that. Oh wait. Okay. I don't know if I'm completely doing this right, but yeah. We're gonna go with this, and we'll find out what happens. Also, this song has a fun dance to it, and it's on my bucket list to eventually learn it. So like back when this song came out, they actually had like a video contest for people to submit dance covers. And like people would like dress up like them and like film the video and everything. And I was like, oh my god, I want to do that, but I never got to do that. So every time I hear this song, I'm like, oh yeah, I need to like learn to dance to this and find like 4 other people who would want to do it with me someday. No, I killed my tomato. Too good. Got ew, not spill. Rest of these all over. Okay, so I have a shirt thingy! Yay! Me. Okay. I have to figure out what to do with the sleeves. Okay, this side needs to go in a fold. I need to go find my paper. Oh my god! Ugh. Okay, I think I'm gonna see if I can fit the sleeve on this paper first so I can get a pattern of the small version of the sleeve. That way I can get the curve of the top of the sleeve so that it'll still match up with the shirt, and then I can just make it long after that. Do you fit on here, or do I need more paper? I think I need more paper. Paper. And I would tape the paper, but I'm not sure. Actually, tape is over there. So, verb. Oh. Okay, I got the shape. Shape. I'm just gonna take the other side too, so this doesn't fall apart when I fold it in half. What am I doing now? This way is what I want. I'm basically doing what I did before. To get the sleeve shape. Yay! So then I open up like this. And this will be the top of the sleeve. So we'll go together like this. And then it'll become a sleeve. But this is just short sleeve. So I'm just going to it's hard to do. Going to extend this part so that it's long on both sides. And I could measure from my shoulder, but the shoulder seam on here is kind of low-ish, so if I actually measure from like up here, it's gonna be wrong. Granted, I could always adjust the length of it, that won't be that difficult. Okay. I need to double check what I'm doing. Okay. Okay, let me read all this for a second. Welcome to the stream. So, I'm really sorry that you haven't been able to learn hand sewing yet. Do you need to hand sew because you can't get a sewing machine, or I personally don't feel comfortable with hand sewing myself either. And even with machine sewing, I'm still learning. I've been using YouTube tutorials. That's mainly what I've been relying on, but it's mostly been for machine sewing rather than hand sewing. I kind of did a teeny tiny bits of hand sewn stitches here and there, but not for like the entire costume or for like the main seam lines or anything. So yeah, I'm sorry. If I knew more about hand sewing myself, I'd try and help. Yeah. I want to say you can find cheaper ones online if that's an option. I want to say that there's ones that are less than than 150 that are online. It's possible that the quality might not be the best of them either, so at the same time, if you get a cheaper machine, it could turn out to be a waste if it doesn't work very well, but I don't have a whole lot of experience testing out different machines. Um, yeah, it's like 80. Yeah. Yeah, that really sucks. I guess, um, I don't know, do you have any, like, friends or anyone maybe that sews, or, like, maybe anyone in your family that might have a sewing machine or something? I'm guessing probably not, because it sounds like you probably would have already asked. Yeah, I just got my sewing machine last year, so I'm still learning myself and everything. I'm sorry that you can't get one yet. Yeah, that stinks. I didn't really have anyone. Well, I had one family member who had a sewing machine, but it was really hard to use their machine because it didn't have like a speed control at all. So it was really difficult to sew carefully because the machine just kind of wanted to blast off without me, and there was no like in between, like no matter how lightly you press the pedal or whatever. So that kind of sucked. Um, I don't know, maybe like I want to say that I've heard about like uh stores where they're refurbishing used sewing machines, like where it's an actual sewing machine store where they are only selling sewing machines, that they might have like pre-owned refurbished ones that might be um cheaper, but I'm not sure what the pricing actually would be still. Um But yeah, I mean, I would just say to try and do a lot of research online if you can't find any help in person. But it sounds like that's what you've already been trying to do. Because really, that's all I was able to do. Because I haven't had anyone to teach me anything in person either. Um, but I managed to find a lot of tutorials. But again, most of the tutorials were for machine sewing. Um, I've looked up like basic stitches for hand sewing. Um, but I wouldn't feel like it would be strong enough to hold like the whole garment together, but maybe it would be, and I just haven't tried it to find out. I just get nervous that it wouldn't be strong enough and then I'd be falling apart. But yeah, I'm sorry. I hope that you can figure out a solution and so you can start to cosplay too. I guess the other option would be to try and find things that you can buy. I don't know if you'd want to like still cosplay if you didn't actually make it, if actually making it is what's important to you. You could always try and buy a cosplay or just like go to the thrift store or anywhere like a normal clothing store and try and find things that look like the character. I know that can be kind of difficult, but yeah, I'm really sorry because that sucks. Yeah, well, there are websites that um, just sell cosplays like pre-made that aren't commissions from people because yeah, commissions can be really expensive because you're paying for the person to uh, buy the materials and also for the person to spend however much time it takes for them to make it. So yeah, but there are websites that sell like um, completed costumes and stuff. So maybe that would be an option. It might be. I would think that it would be cheaper than commissioning from someone. But yeah, I mean, some of them seem like they're not too bad. There's been some people on YouTube that cosplay, that do YouTube videos that got sponsored to like review costumes from cosplay sites that were pre-made, and they did honest reviews, and they weren't like completely poopy. So, I mean, maybe it could be an option, but yeah. Sorry if I'm not super helpful because I'm still learning everything myself. So, like, I don't have the websites off the top of my head and stuff like that. But yeah. Hmm. I guess I should probably put this camera back down here. So, this is gonna be the top of my sleeve, and I am pinning this back in here. Okay. So, I guess what I should do is try this shirt back on and then measure from the seam from where the sleeve starts to the bottom of my wrist to see how long I need the sleeves to be. And hopefully that will work. This is awkward. I'm gonna go with like 20 inches, somewhere around there. And then add extra because just in case it's not long enough to begin with, I can always make it shorter. And because I'll need to have extra for hemming. Okay, so from the top, let me just use this again. I feel like this looks shorter when it's not on me, but I guess not. Oh, and actually these sleeves are supposed to be a little bit short, because on the character they're actually a little bit short. They're almost kind of like a 3/4, but